Hey gamers, it's Local Diablo, and I'm responding to a question that was asked to me. First of all, they commented how crisp and clear my video camera looks, and thank you for that. It is like a Logitech. I think it's like a 9000. I shopped around quite a bit before I picked it out. Mostly I picked it out because of the mic used on it. I really like the mic for it, but it had probably one of the best visual for it too as well. So thank you for that. The question was, what was the nature and demeanor for my character? This was for the post about my Vampire the Masquerade game that I'm currently playing in, and for Clayton McCreed, and this is for my old clan Zamitzi, and his nature is martyr and his demeanor is capitalistic. Now with the nature of the martyr, that actually came up to last night. The capitalistic, I'm not really sure where I got that from, but I know I got it from one of the books. I thought it was really cool thing to pick for it, since he's supposed to be like really wealthy. Now with the martyr, now what happened with that was, to give a little backstory about what happened. This is around 1820. I think it's like 1827 or something like that. It's supposed to take place before the Civil War, and where we've all been embraced. None of us know each other. We're in a park. We're all different clans, and the prince's men found us and brought us to the prince. Well, the prince spared us, despite the fact that the elders want us dead. So the prince spared us, but we have to go find our sires. So for the most part, we were able to find the sires relatively easy and take them down. Though the last two sires had been kind of a problem. We we've been just rolling really bad, but we still managed to take them down. We took down one sire last night, which was the Giovanni, and we still have one more sire to go. So with the Giovanni, the what was explained to us was this Giovanni. First of all, we don't know that he's Giovanni. As players, we know this, but as our characters and the NPCs, we have no idea who this guy is. This guy is out of town, just on the outskirts of town, really far away. He owns like this ranch, and he's supposed to be really old, really powerful, really disrespects humans, and he's very evil. And so I had came up with the suggestion, since he's so far away, and it was described that it was going to take us like a half a day to get there. And so the thing was, it was going to take a half day to get there, and then we were going to get into this, and then as we leave, it's going to take us a half day back, and we're just not going to make it in time. So we would end up just having to stay in his house, and no one really wanted to do that. So I made the suggestion, well, let's get a carriage and let's go in the daytime. Let's just go in the daytime. And it was brought up, it's like, no, that's the bad idea. I was like, no, actually, I think it's a great idea. And as a player, I wanted to see it because I thought getting into daytime combat would actually be kind of fun and unique. We never really done that before. So we would end up just going up there, riding up there, have the carriage sealed, ride up there, go up to this guy's house, just storm the house, get in the house, take him on during the daytime. And I could just see the storyteller thinking like, oh man, this guy's gonna get his ass stomped. And I started to convince the other players to do this as well. And it was just more and more assumed like, yes, this is really the best way to do this. And then when we come back, we'll have a whole, hopefully it'll be like nighttime. We'll have a whole, day to do this next siren. And so it was more and more starting to decide that this was going to be, and I could just tell it really just didn't want us to do this. And I, kind of explained to him, was like, listen, just, give him a path. I don't know, freaking give him path of evil, path of death, whatever. You can, then he wouldn't really have this effect. And, they kept throwing out these comments, well, we're going to be weaker. And I'm like, well, why are we going to be weaker? And it was described, well, the closer you are to the beast, and um, the harder it is to be mobile during the day. And I was like, well, geez, that's going to be perfect. This guy's really old. This guy is, supposedly really evil. And we're just freshly, embraced. Game terms, I had the lowest humanity at 5. And I have nothing that's like at 5, more than 5 dice. And so and most of the other players, they have humanity like, 7, 8. And, this is starting to, be actually, a pretty good idea. And so I had to do, since we were going to go during the day, I had to, I asked if I could do, because it was still night at this point, and I asked if I could do, my own type of stuff. Because I had actually been gone for days, and I'm supposed to be running this newspaper. So I go to my business partner, and they agreed. And I go to my business partner, and I basically, do this role playing where I'm, I'm not really liking the numbers of the newspaper, and I describe we should, drop the newspaper from a weekday, day to day to only weekends, and that we should use the printing presses to print books so that it's always printing. So, and I think the other players were doing, their own things too. And we come back, and it's almost, the sun's almost going to rise, and we got this carriage. One of the elders provided us with a carriage that they specifically used in this type of situation, and they also provided their driver. And one of the players wanted to bring one of his NPCs because, he didn't. I don't think he really trusted the driver. So we end up driving there, and then it was just like this kind of discussed. Well, we're gonna stop. We're gonna go up there, and we're just gonna stop and wait for it to be, wait for for the sun to set. I'm like, oh my God, this is completely what we not agreed on. And the players just kind of, went along with it. I'm like, okay, well, listen, you guys, I'm not going to be much help for you on this. And they're like, why? Why are you not going to be much help? And I was like, well, because I don't have any of the, I need to be sleeping in my own, haven in order. Otherwise, I'm going to be penalized. And I was playing in game, in player to player, that I'm going to be doing this. In character, I was just described that I'm not going to be much help because I'm going to feel sick. And the storyteller didn't quite understand. I explained to him, I was like, listen, my penalty, I'm going to be in half. My dice pool are going to be half now. And so now I've got like 1 die through all this combat that we're doing. I had like 1 freaking die. I think the only thing I had 2 dice for was to soak. And, I was a complete waste. And so I'm really just going around this house. And, we get up to the house, and the guy comes, and he's got like all these like human type of zombies. Now these were just humans that he had just mind wiped them, so much that they just acted like, zombies. So I'm going around the house, and I ended up finding some. I couldn't find any weapons, but I found a bag of shots and some gunpowder. So I mix them together, and I shake them up, and the storyteller's describing like things are trying to bust in, and I just don't care. I'm telling them, no, I don't care. I'm mixing them up, and then I end up going through the house. And at this point, when I left, people were just splitting up, and I thought, oh my God, this is one of the worst things to do. And so these things are just like attacking us, and and so I end up just going outside, and I tried to hand it to a player. I was like, I hand this to him, and he just like hands it back. He had a couple steaks, and that's what he wanted to do, was go around staking. And I'm thinking, crap, I can't even throw this. If I throw this, there's no way I'm going to be able to do anything. So I'm outside, and I'm just crying out for these things to come at me. And he's like, okay, there's a bunch of them out. And I was like, well, kind of give me like numbers, like how many are in front of me. And he originally described it was like 20 total. And he's like, okay, like 4 of them. And I'm like, oh God, I'm not gonna go through this just for 4. So I'm like, I'm kind of avoiding them until more can come up. And so now I got like a half a dozen more. So now I've got like 6, 4. I'm counting in my head. Okay, I got 10. So I'm like, all right. So I had some fire next to me, and I dropped the shots right into the fire, and it just blows up, and everyone gets hurt. And I didn't take as much damage as I originally thought I was going to take. And when it was all said and done, I ended up taking like 3 points damage. Um, so pretty much now I'm really can't do really much of anything, and so now I'm just going around and I'm trying to do anything that doesn't involve any type of dice rolling, because I'm injured now. I was at injured, and now I'm weaker, so I'm like setting the barns on fire. I end up running by the woods and I'm crying out for for because what ended up happening when we were waiting, just waiting there, a freaking werewolf freaking attacks us and just rips up the carriage, and we end up waking up in the barn where this guy had pretty much found us and was helping us, and supposedly he has a problem with werewolves. So I'm outside, I'm just crying for the werewolves. Hey, when we're here with this guy, I'm hoping that the werewolves would come back, realizing that we're trying to get this guy out, which they're at war with. So eventually these things are like coming after me, and I can't even run from them. I honestly couldn't even run from them, and they're just bobbing around, and they still manage to get me, and they're just going at me. And someone ends up, that NPC, um, that supposedly we went up missing when the werewolf attacks. He comes out. I think he shoots him with a gun, and with a blunderbuster. He hits him with a blunderbuster. So one of the players, I think, just got a good lucky shot with a stake, and that's where I had to leave early, but I was there long enough to see that the Giovanni got staked. So I still don't quite know what happened with Giovanni. I got to call some people up to find out, what went down. But that's, thank you for listening, and this is Local Diablo telling you the devil is in the details. Bye.